Okay, so good morning. You don't know it's morning yet, and you don't know that these are my bed clothes, and I am not public ready. But I think that's kind of like the point of this. I didn't get any amount of ready, but I also didn't get any amount of ready for like what I'm about to show you. It all happened spontaneously, and it all happened without much thought, but it was like almost the structure in my brain kind of allowed me to be able to capture the spontaneous art. I'm gonna explain the best I can, because explaining adds structure to something that I don't want to add structure to, but I also just don't want to make a video that makes zero sense to anyone, because like, why would you watch? So I'm gonna try to do a balancing act, but my face is not even like washed. I did have breakfast. I did wake up and kind of flip my hair over, but this is bed hair, bed clothes. I'm not really like polished is what I'm trying to say. This is not polished. Art is not a polished thing when it's like fresh. So anyways, I'm going to explain to you like the morning that I had, and you can kind of take from it what you want. So I've been thinking that I needed to be struck by inspiration, and then I realized that like I have been practicing inspirational things or whatever. I've been trying to create art, and I've been trying to be inspired by. I've been like pulling at any straws or like strings or anything that I find, and I'm just following what I think I should be doing. And sometimes that looks kind of crazy, like now. So that's why I kept it in, because like, oh, that's authentic. Yeah, that's how I feel that that's created. So I woke up this morning, and I saw, because there's no blinds upstairs, I saw that it's foggy, and oh, hi bird. A bird just kind of like, I think is eating the flies. You don't really care about that, but that's what was happening. I saw, because I basically live in the woods. I live in a house in a woods. So I saw outside of my windows, my many windows here, that it was foggy and gloomy. It's like on the precipice of rain. And it was early morning, like 6 o'clock, 6:30. And I saw that it was super foggy, kind of like the start of like a scary movie. And I was like, the perspective of whoever is capturing what you're seeing, it can go a couple of different ways. The spooky music can add the scary, the element of scary, the feeling of scary, but it's not scary. Like if you just walk outside, it's not scary, right? So I thought about like the difference between the portrayal and the add-ins or whatever of this basic thing to like feed it to somebody else, versus like reality, right? I thought about that in like a quick way, but I just like laid in bed, and I just looked at the fog, and I was like, it could be creepy, but it could also be kind of just like beautiful, normal. And it's creepy because I haven't seen this in a while, because I lived in the city. I say that because I told my dad that it looked kind of creepy, and he's just like, well, it looks like the woods. You know, when we were having breakfast talk or whatever, he's like, yeah, it just looks like the woods. And I'm like, oh, you're desensitized to this. And so I'm not. And so I'm taking like almost fresh eyes on something. I'm talking fast because I'm not manic. I'm trying to get out these fleeting ideas, and I'm trying to just like talk about them in ways that I can explain it to somebody. So it's super hard. I thought about this as well in a separate part of this morning. I was like, it's super hard to take something that's fleeting and to like think about it and to process it. Like you have to sit with something for a little while in order to analyze it. And that's what's hard about, like, if you take fog, for example, fog only lasts, I'd say maybe about an hour or something. It's super fleeting. If you buy real flowers, cut flowers, and you put them on your table, they're going to die, but they're going to have a beginning, a peak when they all open, and then it waxes and wanes, and it's going to, you know, start falling off onto your counter. You're gonna have to pick out the dead ones. It's fleeting, but you're going to be able to see the beauty, and it happens slowly kind of over time, especially if you take care of it and refresh the water. Fog doesn't do that. I like fleeting in all different forms. I don't really love fleeting relationships. I'm not that extreme, but I do like fleeting things to remind me that things end. And so when I was outside this morning looking at the fog, immediately I go downstairs. I'm skipping some things, but I'll get back to the things because that is important too. So I'm skipping what I did in bed this morning. It wasn't anything weird. But I'm skipping what I did in bed so I can tell you later, so I can follow this fleeting thought. Thoughts are so fleeting because it's like, if you don't have time to connect, you have to leave like little breadcrumbs in your brain, a little trail, like Hansel and Gretel, except you're not going to be eaten by the witch, right? Hansel and Gretel trail in your brain of like, this is how you get back to this, this is how you get back to this, and then you can think about it in a collective way. So I'm trying to do that spontaneously on camera with you about my morning, about why things are interesting. So it's all like the fog. It's all like, okay, I haven't really crystallized it yet. I haven't left my breadcrumb trail, and I'm trying to make my breadcrumb trail with you. So we have the morning where I went downstairs. I usually have breakfast immediately upon waking up, because that's kind of like my MO here, because my dad is all like, you get up and you start doing stuff. And so I get up and I start making coffee, and I see that it's still foggy. I lollygagged in bed for like an hour and something when I was upstairs. Then I went downstairs and I see out the kitchen window that it's still foggy. But I also see out the kitchen window as I'm making my breakfast. I'm sorry if this feels chaotic to you. It feels chaotic to me, and I'm like the one that's trying to make it less chaotic. So I'm sorry. I don't mean for it to feel chaotic to you, but it's like, it has a lot of energy, and I need you to feel that, because that's what inspiration is. It's a feeling of something nebulous that's like exciting. It's above average. It's weird. It's a strange thing. I wish I could explain like 5 things right now to you, because I also want to explain why people pay attention to fog rather than just like what it does during the rest of the day. People don't take pictures of the rest of the day usually unless it's specifically beautiful. But fog is like a very fleeting kind of thing that you have to like appreciate while it's there. Just like the changing of the leaves. Appreciate while it's there. Normally people don't take pictures of those same trees that do the same thing for the rest of the year. It's like this fleeting thing that somehow is like significant, and you notice that it's different. So you have to pay attention to it, and then you call it beautiful, right? So anyways, getting back to the other thing. That's a breadcrumb. That's a post-it note. That's a thing to think about later, what I just barely told you. So we're gonna get back to like the making of the coffee, and we're going to look outside the window because my dad specifically put windows above the kitchen sink so that you could look out and look into the woods. The woods is not the woods to me. I'm not desensitized to its beauty yet because I haven't really seen it the way that this is quite yet for a long period of time. And so I still see it as like new. I still see it as something exciting. And so I've seen fog before, and I know it goes away. So before I even make my coffee fully, and before I'm really doing too much, I just go outside in my little Birkenstocks and I go up the wet hill, and I just start filming little bits of what I was seeing in the woods. I was seeing the drops of water on the maple leaves. I was seeing how the trees were like lining up kind of like weirdly, and that's when I thought about the presentation of what you were seeing in real life versus what you could show somebody with the same projection of the image. Meaning, if I filmed the trees, I could explain it to you however I wanted. Ooh, it's creepy woods, or oh, it's beautiful moody woods, and you could see whatever I said it was based upon the caption or based upon whatever. But like, to me, standing here, I had the option because I was capturing it. Does that make sense? So I was like, oh, interesting. So I'm thinking about all these things, and I'm like in the midst of just not really caring that my hair is a mess. I have no bra on, that I'm outside in my PJs, my feet are getting wet. I'm just like, ugh, with my phone, like trying to capture the best angle of things. And I'm just like not trying to get perfect shots. I'm just trying to capture what's there and then deciding what to do with it later. And like, I'm not doing it so I can put it into this video because I didn't even know I was gonna film right now. Like, that's how spontaneous it all is. And I feel like that's what inspiration makes you do. It's like, I recognize this opportunity. It's like a pattern of recognizing that something is special. But why is it special? It's special to me because I find it visually beautiful, but it's special to me because of what it's doing to my soul. What it's doing to, like, it's awakening me in like a way, but I've primed my mind to like be triggered to be awakened. Like I've like allowed this to this process to happen that I don't normally talk about, but that happens all the time to me. I allowed this, and I captured it. I tried to capture it today because I was aware that this was happening, and I was like, I'd really like to show people what the process of being inspired feels like and looks like, and like the thoughts that I have in my mind and how chaotic it looks, right? It looks crazy. It looks crazy, but like the end result could be beautiful, but the end result could be like, who cares also? But that doesn't matter because of how it made me feel, and I just wanted to share. It's very difficult to share because it loses some of its special. Not because of like I'm sharing it, but because I can't do a great job at like hooking you into here and being just like, you can see what I see. You can feel how invigorated I feel. And so that's why I just wanted it to be as authentic as possible. It's like, don't get ready, don't even change, just like keep in the same mode. Keep in the same mode and try to explain the most honest. And hopefully that will come across as the feeling. So I'm out there and I'm capturing, and I've realized that it looks like the woods that Renee might like. And so I see like a spider web. Renee likes spiders. So I see like a spider web and it's covered with water, and I start like filming that. And then I step back and I get out of the woods a little bit, and I realize that the trees are positioned in a funny way. But at this point in time, I see that the sun is coming up. It's trying to like come through the trees. And I see that the fog is sort of fighting the sun. Like, I see that the fog is kind of like creepy and like gloomy and kind of like, you know, like Hitchcocky or something. Like, it's all like scary movie. This might have watchers in the woods and like it might be bad. But like, it's starting to feel kind of not bad because the sun is coming up and making it look normal. It's on the precipice of normal. And so I saw that it's doing that, and like the trees were moved. And so I tried to capture that battle or that duel. And it's happening so fast that you don't really know. Like, it's not like I set out my camera and I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for this duel to happen. I don't know that it's gonna happen. So I'm just like, this is happening. This is my interpretation. I'm gonna capture it. This is what it looks like, right? So, but like to other people, it just looks like normal woods. Like to other people, it's just like, whatever, it's some trees and like the sun is coming up. Who cares? But to me, it's like this battle, this story, this epic metaphor, or this thing. And I'm just like, no, you're not looking. This is fun. This is what life is about. This, I don't know, these weird tree moments is what life is about. So I look at that and I capture that, and then I get out and I just walk around. And then that's it. That's like all I did. And so then I thought I was done. I thought I was done with my inspirational stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe my creative brain is not as dead as I thought here, because I feel different. I feel like I was sad in the last video that like my art was going to go away. The art in my head that I kind of like keep for myself, that's just like this fun thing and pushes me along in the times of boring or whatever. I never really want to lose that. And I never really want to lose my creativity. And I never really want to lose like the spark that makes life fun beyond all those things that you kind of have to do to make life work. So I knew that I was in for like a year or so of like, this is how life is going to work if you need it to work better. You have to do a lot of work and not a lot of fun. And I was getting ready to be like, my creative mind is going to go away. But I see that I participate in the structure that I've laid out. The structure in my mind to like be inspired can get triggered. And like I can become aware, and then I can do something with it. So as long as I keep paying attention, then that's that. So let's get back to what happened when I was priming my mind for this to happen. Like looking out the window, I've done that a million times. Like in the morning, it doesn't inspire me to go walk outside and go capture some woods. So what was the difference today? The difference today was I woke up and I saw outside of my window as I was laying in my bed, I saw that it was foggy, something different. I don't always see fog when I first wake up. I saw fog this morning. For whatever reason, the last night that before I went to bed, I usually calm my mind by looking through pretty pictures that are aesthetic on Pinterest. And this is how my mind gets prepped or whatever. I don't dream of the things on Pinterest, but like I remember seeing some black and white James Dean stuff. And like, I don't really know too much about James Dean or like a lot of like 50s movie stars or whatever. And like old Hollywood is not particularly interesting to me, but I just remember that he was revered as a rebel and he was like cool. He was super cool. And then I just started to look under like his eyes had bags under his eyes in a lot of his photos. And so I just kind of noticed that his beauty is different than the typical Hollywood beauty right now, because I think they would take care of the bags under his eyes, right? So his imperfection drew me to think about him. Like the pictures of him with his black and white pictures of him looking so cool with his white shirt. I love the look of a white shirt on a dude, by the way. So I think James Dean is super hot. So his white shirt, his cool ass hair. And I just thought of him because of the Pinterest, but because of the bags under the eyes, which connected me to this is a real human rather than an erased, perfected thing. So in the morning, after the fog situation, I remember that James Dean was in a crash and that's how he died. Super morbid, but maybe like the gloomy like outside was making me think that. So I just looked up James Dean death, James Dean, and then I just realized like all this stuff about like the last day of his life or whatever, according to this article. And in the article, it laid out like what happened, like who he was or whatever, the process, the timeline of his last day. And then somewhere in the article it was like, this is one of his favorite quotes from a movie. And it was, and I want to get it right because it's important to get it right. It was, what is essential is invisible to the eye. And I remember reading that quote as I'm like thinking about the fog or whatever before I got up to walk in the woods. I'm telling you this all backwards because I want to not forget. I'm telling you, and I'm going back and I'm like adding the detail in, but it feels chaotic to explain this way because it's not linear. And it's like I've already told you the punchline, but I'm going back and like creating the details of why the punchline is more cool. But like, you don't really care about that. You like the build up, but like, I don't really care about that because I just need to get it out. If I was to redo this video, I'd tell you about the James Dean thing and I'd tell you in chronological order, but as me like me being the person that experienced it, I need to tell you the most interesting is the most recent, and the most fleeting thing is the additives of the thing. I can remember the James Dean thing the most in the story, like any version of the story, whether or not I tell it today or 2 weeks from now, I'll remember like waking up and seeing the fog and the James Dean thing, because I took like an hour to do that. But the thoughts in the woods are so fleeting that I had to add that leg when I thought of it. I had to add those side pieces when I thought of it, because it's not as crystallized. It's not a breadcrumb that my mind regularly like lays out for myself. I have to do it and grab it and like lay it out like a little come back here, explain this in out of order right now as I'm capturing this. I have to do that when I think of it. But had I had this as a format, had I like had this video, I could retell the story in chronological order with all of those details. It's kind of like a book, right? An author thinks about the ending, the side stories, the blah, 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 and she can write out and plan all that stuff out. But this is happening right now. And I don't have like a year to like develop the plot line. I have like 2 seconds to be like, this is important and I'm going to explain this to you and the why. And it's hard because it feels chaotic, it feels energetic, but it feels chaotic, like I keep explaining. And it's almost crazy. But that's the beauty of it, because it's not put together yet. So anyways, that's that. That's what I wanted to tell you about this part. So remember that quote, because that kind of like inspired my talk with Renee this morning. So what is essential is invisible to the eye. And I didn't really go back and think about that quote until I thought about something else. So I went in the woods, I came back inside, I hadn't talked to anybody yet today. And then I get a text from Renee and we exchange our pleasantries in the morning. And this is how inspiration kind of like migrates to other people, right? It's like I did my walk in the woods and I could have left it alone. But I took pictures that kind of reminded me of Renee, so I sent them to Renee. And then she saw my pictures of like, you know, my walk in the woods or whatever. And then we have like a little talk about what is art and what is nebulous and what is the feeling and blah, blah, blah. So I'm contemplating that and having a nice kind of interaction with her. And I don't know if she feels inspired, but she asked me what I need more of in my life and what do I want to work on right now. And I say connection and inspiration. And we talk about the lack of structure that those things have, because it's a nebulous feeling. You can't really explain it too easily. But as I'm explaining this to her, I realize that my structure of my awareness, my like, the way in which I always go to bed and look at Pinterest, lays out for me what I find aesthetically pleasing. And though my mind is queued up to like look for those things in real life and then to notice. So hence I woke up and I looked at the fog. I was like, I should look into James Dean. Don't care about James Dean normally. Don't care about his death. But he died an untimely death, right? And it was so horrific. But then it's like, how do you get the information about James Dean without knowing about his death? You don't. Those two things are tied usually in a quick kind of Google search. So I just did the service Google search, and that's what came to at the end of the article. I read the whole article. At the end of the article, it had this like one thing about like what he liked when he was alive. And that was the quote thing. So I'm realizing what she's saying, what Renee is saying to me about this stuff that I'm talking to her about, the woods thing, is like the James Dean quote and why he liked it. He liked this because it reminded him of something, but it was from a movie, it's from art. So let me read it to you again because I feel like it's important. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And so this is making something that's difficult to explain visible to your eye, visible to your mind. it's like the structure that's invisible becomes shaped by people, and it's like, this is art, this is art, this is art. It's like, the reason why I explained the difference in perspective of the woods is like, the feeling is invisible until I give it structure, until I take a picture of it and I show you, and then I kind of serve you up on a platter what it's meant to be, right? I could let you have your own interpretation, but I could also kind of let you see my interpretation and see if that sticks. But it's like taking something that wasn't shared before, or it's taking something that's like invisible. The invisible is essential. Feeling things is not concrete. And so this is trying to make it concrete. Like, do you see that? Like, that's why it's difficult. It's difficult because I'm trying to make you a little bit uncomfortable because of the chaoticness of this. I feel like chaos has been sort of like a little bit of a theme, but it's also like chaotic and cinematic beauty has also been a theme. Organizing it in a way that like is peaceful. I find that dichotomy nice. I'm not sure why, but I do. So anyways, I sit there and I am on my kitchen stool, and my dad is gone to do his errands or whatever, and I realized that I might make a video. I realized that I have time to make a video because I have the house to myself, and I have time to make a video, but I also have little inserts from, you know, when I was in the woods, and it wasn't my intention to make videos with little inserts of my real life or whatever, but that's kind of sort of what's been happening the last 2 or 3 videos, and I thought, I should probably put them in, but how do I explain that stuff? What do I do with that stuff? So if you hear little things, my dad is back, so I have to explain my story. So basically what I was doing after breakfast, or during breakfast, was exactly this. And so that's why I'm putting this in the video, because it feels authentic. It's like, how do I hold on to this feeling long enough to think about it, long enough to explain it? So like, that's why I keep talking about the fleeting thing. And there was like flowers that I'd bought at Trader Joe's right in front of me, and I realized the fleetingness, the fleeting of the fog, the fleeting of the flowers at that moment when I'm sitting on the bar eating my stuff. And I'm like, how do I hold on to this? And I realized at the same time that I'm asking myself this, as I'm having like this inspirational kind of like moment in my mind, how do I hold on to this and then make it something? Therefore, how do I hold on to this kind of like playful, creative part of my mind, but know that it's fleeting if I don't do anything with it? How do I do something with it? That's the fridge downstairs when it's like angry that it's been open for too long. Hopefully my dad will close it soon. But how do I hold on to it? And I realized that moment I'm listening to the same song. I'm listening to one of these songs, and I listen to the same song all day long, all the time, because it's like a mindset consistent thing. If I listen to the same song over and over again, it doesn't change my mindset doesn't wander. So I'm allowed to kind of stay in this playful mode for a little bit longer. And so that allows me to make the structure in my brain to place the placeholders. And it's almost evidence that that works, because I'm able to talk about this later on with you, even though it's just talking about the ideas that happened after the things that I did. The things that I did, my mind will remember. But the things that I think about fleetingly, very quickly as I'm doing the things, less likely to kind of come along with me. But those thought experimentations are what allows you to like think bigger. And I feel like the thought experimentations is kind of like what allow people to bust out. Like, so that's why it's important. I think I read somewhere that Einstein, the way that he got to the theory of relativity was through a thought experiment, and he just like let his thought kind of like drift and do things. And obviously he has like a different baseline of thought experimentation like than I would, so I'm just aware that I have to like let this happen, and so I keep things consistent. So I listen to the same song over and over and over again, like 4 or 5 times, as I'm thinking about how to make this moment and this feeling crystallized. So I keep pushing replay because I listen to my YouTube playlist all the time, and it keeps me in the same mindset, but I'm aware that it's keeping me in the same mindset, so I just keep going with it. I keep this thing consistent and I just keep going with it. So then I finish my dinner, but now I realize that I have to brush my freaking teeth because I have to do something different with my body instead of just think about things and do autopilot stuff, which is the eating. The eating is the autopilot stuff. Do something with my body that's autopilot. Do something with my auditory input that's autopilot. And I'm alone at this point, right? So I'm able to do it on autopilot, but let my mind think. This is how my mind is able to think longer in the creative. And I need to do that in order to have the thought experiments happen. Analyze something that happened, analyze a feeling that happened, combine those two things, and then group together things in your head that you already have little placements for, and see if those fit, see if that makes sense, see if that's a universal truth or something like that, see if that's a new thing, see if that's a challenging thing. Like, what you do with that quickly is kind of like really up to you. What you do with that spontaneously is like up to you. See what fits in the puzzle, see if there's even a different puzzle you should be playing with. And then all of this happens super quick, but all this happens while you're doing life. Like, I'm literally just sitting at the kitchen counter feeding myself, and I'm talking about like the automaticness of like the things that you're not using your I need food, it's a basic need, I need to feed myself, I'm eating the same exact breakfast that I always eat, so it's not distracting. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the consistency of the music is not distracting from what I'm doing that's different in my mind. The creative is what's different in my mind. The creative is not like the sensations or the taste that I'm getting from my food that's feeding my automatic basic needs, because it's just not, because I usually eat that. It's not extraordinary to me. What's extraordinary to me is my visual cues that I'm seeing outside in the woods, so I went to go capture them so I can think about them later. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. And so as I'm sitting there eating my breakfast, I'm aware that this is something that I should be thinking about later, but like, why? I don't know what I'm doing with it, but like, why? So I realized that I have to buy myself more time. How do I buy myself more time? Do exactly what I just explained to you, but I'm thinking about buying myself more time as I'm trying to create. It's almost like you're doing 5 things at once, but you're trying to like prioritize the creative and just try to like maintain the other stuff and get that done too. You can't just like sit there and not eat if you're hungry, right? So anyways, keep eating, keep doing that, keep pushing reset on the YouTube playlist. And you don't want anything else to change, or at least I don't. So I'm trying not to ingest any other cues, but I'm getting a little bit of other cues. So anyways, I noticed that I'm gonna have to go upstairs, and that changes my environment. And I'm a little bit scared to change my environment because I don't want to change my mindset. And so I don't know if I'm ready for that, because a lot of stuff, the little breadcrumbs that I lay, the little post-it notes in my little woods in my head, is not ready for that, because I still have all those, I'm not done my thought experiments. I know that my mind is prepped for thought experiments, and that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to creative, and I'm trying to get to where I can expand, and this is how I'm literally doing it. This is the process. And so I feel excited. I feel like I'm inspired, but I notice that I'm gonna have to do something different, like clean my teeth rather than eat. Cleaning my teeth is a little bit less automatic than eating, but I've done it like a million times since I've had my clear aligners. So it's a little bit automatic, but it's not. So I'm standing at the sink and I realize that, okay, I'm a little bit losing the inspiration. But then all of a sudden something interesting happens. And I'm still in this creative mode, but I'm losing it a little bit because I'm like doing something different. But I'm still in this creative mode and it's happening super quick. It's not like I'm doing this like for a long period of time. This is like a span of 10-15 minutes. And I'm like, right now, I feel the same exact creative, but like my legs, I have to tell you this right now, my legs are, I need to move them because they're falling asleep and it's uncomfortable and it hurts. And because I'm kind of like sitting like cross-legged. And because of what my body does, it loses like blood in my feet if I do this. But I'm scared to do anything different because I might lose the magic of explaining this to you. And so I just kind of deal with it. I deal with the uncomfortable, but I kind of want to share the uncomfortable because it goes along with like preserving something. I'm sitting in the uncomfortable and I'm preserving it. And it's like a basic need because I want to be comfortable. My body wants to be comfortable right now, but I also am fighting it because I'm like, I want to explain this creative thing. I want to create a visual structure, auditory structure, and something nebulous is like an actual thing that you can like witness and experience and you can feel it. Sounds super stupid, but like I want to capture this. This was like the point of this, but I want to kind of share with you in the most honest, truthful, genuine way. So yeah, my legs are so uncomfortable. Anyways, I'm sitting and it's super hard for me to go back to like where I left off because it's very easy for me to like want to go onto a new tangent, but I understand I need to explain this. So that's what we're doing. So I'm at the sink and I just barely got a brand new mirror. I've been brushing my teeth and not seeing what I look like for like 3 or 4 weeks now. The mirror was on the floor. My dad recently put it up on the wall, which is fabulous. So I'm doing something in front of this mirror and I'm brushing my teeth now. And I still have my phone because it's still playing that same song because I carry my phone with my music with me to create a consistent thing for me, a consistent mindset. But it's also just kind of like soothing, but I do use this as like the structure like I told you. So the phone is on the counter of the sink and I'm looking at myself and I'm cleaning my teeth and I'm cleaning my aligners and I'm just doing the regular thing. And I brought up my water because I thought I would be it'd be thirsty. So what happened was I realized as I'm looking towards the mirror, pretend that you're the mirror, on the side of you is this wall that's unfinished because we have a ton of unfinished stuff up here, but there's a wall that's unfinished right near in between these two windows. And I realized that there's like something on the wall, but I didn't know what it was, and that grabbed my eye and I started looking at it. And this is happening super quick, and I started looking at it and I'm like, what is that? And so I just quickly look at it and then I realized that I should film it because I realized that I should create this video in that moment with all the things that I used previously, and I wanted to talk about the things that I'm talking about right now as I'm brushing my teeth, as I'm looking at this thing on the wall that I'm going to show you in a little minute. I realized that I have to structure it this way. So I'm taking something that's happening spontaneously and it's happening and it's inspiring me to create this. And I'm realizing the order of things, and I'm realizing that I need to capture this for the order of things. So I start filming this. I start filming this thing that you're seeing right now. And then I get curious, and then I stop caring about the structure of things, and I stop caring about what's going on, and I stop caring about that the water is on. I leave the water on because I was about to get ready to rinse my toothbrush, and I'm watching this, and I'm just kind of curious because I don't know what is creating this thing on the wall. And so I do like a little experiment. It kind of sort of looked like a giant reflection of light that looked in the shape of a lemon, like a lemon slice. And this was on the counter, and all the little lemon slices. And I was like, oh, maybe it's this. And so I do an experiment with you in real time. I film myself as I'm thinking about this, as I'm doing the experiment in real time. I start filming it in real time. I start filming my thoughts. It's like, this is my hypothesis that this thing is reflecting light somehow onto this wall. And so I look at this and I was like, okay, maybe. And so I start like getting all of the different areas that the light could pass through this jug and go into the light on the wall to create this, what I'm seeing. But as you see, that's not what was creating the thing on the wall. I start closing the door in the bathroom. Why am I telling you this? Because it's interesting to capture a hypothesis in motion. It's interesting to capture your creative, inspirational thought as it's happening. But to know that you're doing that and to like show you later, this is the process, right? And I thought that this part would be interesting to add to a structured video, because this is the chaotic part, but this is the awareness part because I created it. I premeditated to do it as I'm doing it spontaneously in real time as I'm still curious. So anyways, I shut my bathroom door and I realized that the thing on the wall is still outside there. So it's not any light that's passing through the bathroom door, because that would stop. The thing that's shining on the wall would stop if I close the door, because the light would no longer come through. So it's outside. So I start looking. It's gone, by the way. So I start looking around and I'm like, what is creating this? So I thought I start doing some things, and I realized that what's creating this thing that looks like a lemon slice is actually my Roomba. There's a glass globes on my Roomba, and I cover the glass globe with my sock covered foot, and then the thing on the wall starts changing, and I found my origin, the origin of the thing on the wall. I don't know if that's important, but it seems important. So I just wanted to kind of like show you how I figured out the thing on the wall, like the little experiment that I did. Is this it? No. Is this it? No. But like you can see my curious. I literally stopped doing what I'm doing, which is my basic needs of like, you know, making sure that my aligners go back into my mouth so that I can wear them for the set amount of time. I stopped caring about all that. I leave the water on. It's still running. Hot water. Don't care. Leave it on. Just capture this. Just go with the spontaneous. Go with what feels interesting. And this weird little thing that I'm explaining felt interesting. And I knew that I was going to create, the end piece was going to be this. But I'd already decided that downstairs, but I had no idea that I was going to do the whole like explaining of the lemon slice on the wall thing. You probably don't care about any of this, but what's important is to notice that you have to do things that look a little crazy, right? Like my hair looks crazy. I don't really care. The explaining of this feels crazy, and the explaining of this feels like this isn't gonna be well received. And like, I don't really care about that either, but this feels cool to me because I explained something really difficult, but I also explained like I explained the woods in my head, which is also kind of difficult to explain. But like I tried to have as many visual things so that you can see what I'm talking about as possible, so that it can be the most understanding. And so nebulous becomes visual. Some sort of structure becomes, you're able to see. The things that I do to get back to like adding the post-it notes or whatever might not be the same tactic for you in order to have a placeholder for thought experimentation. And to expand the amount of time that it takes to analyze something. The longer, I feel like the longer that you're able to connect more dots, I feel like that's exciting. And I just feel like that's exciting because we don't get to do that often. Like, I also thought about my Galileo thermometer. It's like, this dude was so advanced in 1603 to like come up with like the concept behind this. That's why it's named after him. And I'm like, I don't know anybody that advanced with brand new things. I know people who are very advanced in what they do in their work for like things that are established. But as we are like in society, I don't know if we're expanding past what we know on our own. You know, like, I do think that AI is getting to like find blind spots that humans, you know, don't really think about, but I don't want to get mentally lazy. And I think that that's why I'm trying to share this with you, is because this is how I stay mentally sharp in my own little way. And I think other people have that, but I think like it's something that I'm not born with. This is something that I've like done, and I noticed that I'm doing, right? They're like learned things. So I don't know, I feel like that's important. But it's also kind of just like fun to go down this weird like, what is this video? Sure. But that was the point of that for me, is to share this, the structure of the inspirational thing. It's also for me to get back to this. It's like, how do I, because I always feel like uninspired. I'm uninspired. But like, if you just get back to noticing the things that you keep as structural foundations for like your mind to be open to these things, and all of a sudden it just gets really creative, and you didn't really do too much, you just kind of saw what was in front of you. The thought experimentations is the most important for me, but like the feeling of being inspired is actually pretty exciting. And it's hard to explain as it's happening, so that's why I had to do it fast, because I'm like, oh. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope that this was interesting, slightly helpful, or I don't really know. I don't know if this is going to be helpful for anybody, but I thought this was interesting to share. A look behind the curtain of somebody who does this. So take care and have a great day.